Welcome to What the Hype. I'm Andrew.
I'm Eric.
And I'm Laura.
Thanks for making time for us today, because today we're discussing how to fit pop culture into our lives when there's always so much to consume. Before we get into that, don't forget to follow this show on YouTube and or in your favorite podcast app. We would also greatly appreciate if you left us a review, followed us on social media, and wrote into us. These are all important things, especially in the early days of a podcast. So we greatly appreciate the follows, the friends, and the feedbacks. So Laura, Eric, I kind of see today's episode as a therapy session in a way.
Oh, great. I definitely needed one of those this week. And my regular therapist couldn't work me in. So
surprise, this is therapy.
It's okay if we can't fit everything in. We're never going to watch everything.
Oh, okay. Then episode over. We're done. We have nothing else to discuss.
There we
Outro
go.
Music.
There's your free therapy.
Oh, you should have charged me $50 for that.
Oh, missed opportunity.
So does keeping up with and consuming pop culture feel overwhelming? Because that's why I wanted to talk about this today.
Yeah, I would say so. It just feels like you said at the top, there's just so much to keep up with. And we're also really in a time where TV in particular is so good. Like, when I was younger, I don't recall there being this mad frenzy to be able to make time to watch all of these amazing shows, because sadly enough, there weren't that many amazing shows or like that many iconic shows happening at the same time like we have now. And it just makes it hard to keep up with. And you add daily responsibilities and work and life. And, suddenly your planner's full, or at least in my case, that's what happens. And then it can make it really hard to keep up.
Can you imagine if we were still had the summer break that we used to have as kids too, to just binge watch? But
that would be awesome.
I think there have been quality TV shows, but they weren't accessible. TV shows on home media is fairly new too. And coupled with what you were saying, Laura, about basically event television or long form storytelling being television is the medium now for that, you can easily sink 10, 12, 15 more hours into any season of any show now. And there's so much.
Well, the head of FX coined this phrase a few years ago, peak TV, because we are truly in a peak TV era. There are more television shows than ever before. And maybe that's going to start to scale back as we kind of continue to navigate this streaming era. But for the time being, there's so much to watch all the time. And I think that's another reason why we're feeling overwhelmed now more than ever.
And it's coming at us from both ends, too, I would argue, because there's some classic shows that have made it to my short list. Yeah, I got a buddy who swears by the Golden Girls. I've never seen Golden Girls. But, I mean, that's many years of television, classic. Carol Burnett. There's so many, there was no way to consume that media. But now there is. Now it's either on a streamer or, there are methods online.
Yeah.
And the goal, the quest, I think that's been quested to all of us, media watchers, media consumers of this day and age, is see the best stuff and then tell your friends about the best stuff. And it's like a form of clout almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So let's share personal details about how we actually consume and watch and go to the movies on a regular basis. And maybe this can help other people, because I think today one of the goals is just to kind of have by hearing how everybody else handles it, it could make the listeners or the viewers feel better. So Eric, let's start with you. What's your routine when it comes to keeping up with pop culture?
Yeah, this has definitely changed over I'd say the last 10 years, and I'm interested in hearing your guys' thoughts, but I became wary of how much time I was spending sort of consuming or watching TV instead of more creative outward endeavors, because it would get to the point where I'd come home from work, watch about 2 episodes of The West Wing, watch 2 more episodes of Criminal Minds, which I binged all 9 seasons, and then top it off at night with something light, little bit of 30 Rock. And it was just, this is insane. I wasn't doing household chores. I wasn't, I was having the media consumption time of my life. But it just wasn't sort of tenable. So I've scaled it back. You'd be very happy with me. I feel like I watch television for a couple of hours, maybe twice a week now.
Oh, okay.
It's really scaled back. It used to be so much more. And so these days, and a number of podcasting commitments helped with that. But I feel like, I feel like I've actually gone out with friends, and I feel like I've definitely done a lot more to
touching grass. So you're touching grass.
I'm touching grass, Andrew.
Nice.
I'm having a lot more of a work-life balance, and we'll get into some of the methods for that I've used, but mostly it's at a good place now.
Okay. Well, you're fired from the show because you have to watch at least 5 hours of television a day. I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
This was actually
God.
a job interview.
Oh, no.
No. Thank you for saying that in all seriousness, because I think we shouldn't set the expectation with the listeners that we're people who are consuming pop culture all day, every day. Like, we are all trying to find a balance for this as well.
Yeah. Part of being alive now is and it's a form of privilege. Don't get me wrong. How to fit, the latest season of the latest show in with everything else and still be a productive member of society, whatever that means.
Yeah, what does that mean?
I don't know. When I know, I'll find it. I'll let you know.
Okay. Yeah, definitely text me. So kind of like I alluded to before, I just am someone who kind of struggles to figure out, like, do I set a schedule for how I fit entertainment into my life? Because that doesn't feel organic enough to say, okay, between this time and this time, I'm going to watch these things. But at the same time, life can get so busy sometimes that it kind of feels like that's what you have to do. But one thing that I found that has actually helped me, and obviously not every show does this, but a lot more shows are moving to this model, is TV shows that drop episodes weekly as opposed to dropping their full season all at once. Y'all let me know if you feel this way. If I'm coming into a show that is already a few seasons deep and they're very lengthy episodes, very lengthy seasons, it can be intimidating to get started. Because of that, I kind of feel like I'm coming to a lot of popular shows late. Like, I came to Game of Thrones late. I didn't start Game of Thrones until they finished the 4th season. So I was super behind on that. I am just now watching Veep for the first time, which I'm loving it. I mean, it makes me feel dirty watching it and like I need a shower afterwards, but it is a very good show. But how old is that? Like, I feel like I am chronically behind on what's popular. So I'm hopeful that this podcasting endeavor will help me stay up to date on things. But I will say right now, I do have a weekly like appointment show. Not to say I watch it at a set time, but we do watch X-Men 97 the day that it drops every week. And oh my God, it's been amazing. If y'all haven't watched it yet, you definitely should. It is
Talk about
so
peak TV.
good.
Yeah, the original animated X-Men has a huge chunk of my childhood. And so 97's right up my alley.
It's a good feeling to have a show to look forward to each week, to your point about weekly drops instead of everything all at once. Like, right now, we're recording this in early May. I'm looking forward to Survivor every Wednesday night, including tonight's. Like, that's my midweek kind of like snack, if you will, television snack to look forward to in the middle of the week. But yeah, so I hate the idea of tying myself to the TV at certain times of the day or week. I don't want to center my life around television because, to your point, Eric, I'm trying to go out and touch grass and take names. But so I try to avoid like getting too committed to television. I'll play it by ear depending on, is it like this time of year when the days are longer, you want to be outside a little longer, especially after work. How's my mood that day? What's going on in my social schedule that day? So even though I do typically end up in front of the TV at night, I don't let it take top priority. But that said, I'm not going out every day. I'm not spending too much time outside. Let's not get crazy. And then my other issue is like, I tend to go to bed around 9:30, 10 p.m., which is probably the earliest by 3 hours on this panel.
So good for you.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah, me too. Man, my goal nowadays is to be in bed before midnight. And I am not always successful.
I am not divulging what time I go to bed. You guys can infer from that what you will.
That means probably like 2 a.m.
Yeah. So, but that said, there is, I think, a sense of anxiety we can get for not watching television. There's so much good stuff out there. Television, good TV now, peak TV has become such a matter of social clout. I think we mentioned before. This goes back to sort of like the event television of Game of Thrones. If you weren't in the office on Monday, having seen Sunday night's episode, you kind of felt left out. You're like, what is this that I've missed? And so it's like that constantly for every show, for The Bear, for just tons of things going on right now.
Reality shows like Survivor. I mean, that's another reason why I prioritize it on Wednesday nights, because I don't want to be accidentally spoiled on social media the next day.
Spoiler culture, exactly. And so it's easy to also get like, you can be proud of having a social life. You can be proud of being active outdoors. But then there's also like the fear, the feelings that come from, am I not watching enough TV?
Well, and missing out on all the inside jokes too.
Yeah.
Right. That's a big part of it. And that's not just water cooler talk. I mean, that's just how your friends will talk, or at least my friends do. And there are definitely times where people are trading jabs that are clearly related to some kind of show, or it's based on some sort of inside joke based on a show or a movie or something that I haven't seen or read. And it makes you feel kind of left out. And that's not their intention, obviously. They're bonding over this shared enjoyment. And they're sharing that moment, but then you don't want to be the person who's left out of that. You want to be in on the joke.
Yeah, for sure.
Here's how I've managed to kind of work some TV back into my life more than what I'm explicitly making time for. If I am exercising, for instance, like TV now has to meet some of my other like life goals, or in order for me to like make time for it, but it's actually like a good thing. For instance, I got a home treadmill a couple months ago. And it is so boring to run on a treadmill at home. I need something for my eyes to do. Wait a minute. There's an infinite amount of TV on like even just Disney Plus. I started jogging at home watching Disney Plus, and I caught up on 3 of the 4 Star Wars series that I was behind on. Like,
it just
feels, well, meanwhile, the part of me that's like, I should go out, I should do something like actually healthy, not be so, lazy on the couch, whatever, feels good because it's something that I can do while doing the other thing. And, similarly, I finally caught my first season of live TV since like 2008 this year. Starting in January, I went to a group of friends' house and watched RuPaul's Drag Race season 16. And bite size, right? Every Friday night for like an hour and a half, like 7:30, I think it was, that we watched, because it's on DVR, so we skip the commercials. And not only was I catching up on current TV, something some people were talking about, but I was building a new friend group that I barely knew people who were in that group, and now close friends, having been through a whole season of that together. So it's ticking these other boxes: socialization, exercise, and that makes me feel like not the way I did 10 years ago when I was like, all I'm doing is consuming. I am a robot. I am, it really makes you feel good and productive in addition to the dopamine you get.
Yeah, it makes you feel better about watching television when you're watching with friends, or you being productive, to your point about being on the treadmill. RuPaul is a great show to watch at a gay bar in particular, too, by the way. Because but seriously, they have RuPaul viewing parties every Friday or whatever day of the week that season is airing.
I can't believe you left Chicago, Andrew, because Roscoe's has it, and they have the queens there, like from that episode.
Yeah.
Like, usually it's the queen that gets eliminated that week, so it's kind of a spoiler.
Okay.
This year I saw Plasma from season 16.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I don't follow, so I do watch RuPaul every Friday, but I don't follow as closely as Pat does. We actually do watch it with a couple of friends, and we went to a gay bar here for the finale, and that was a lot of fun. We're going to be doing that more when this All-Star season premieres.
think I caught a reference you made on MuggleCast recently. I was like, Andrew knows.
I said, can I get an amen?
Let the
RuPaul's
music play.
Closing line. Yes. So following this line of like when we're watching pop culture, if we're not working out or socializing, do we have any hard set vices while consuming pop culture? And the reason I ask this is because I do have some I take very seriously. When I'm eating dinner at night, so after this recording, when I'm eating dinner, I have to be watching something new and good. I will not watch a rerun of something while eating dinner. And let's be clear, we are not sitting at a dinner table and talking to one another. No, we're sitting in front of the television watching something
Do you
new and good.
Facing the man you live with in all settings? You're like seats next to each other or nothing at all?
Exactly. Right. Yeah. We're never looking at each other.
Yeah.
But so I just, because when I'm eating dinner on a weeknight, I want to like unwind after the workday, and I want to be entertained through my taste buds and the screen and my eyes. So I'm very hard set on that. And I will not start eating until we decide on what we're going to watch. And the food can sit there and get cold for all I care. I sound like a terrible person to eat with.
I know you're not really selling me.
You can confirm this with Kat.
You have to wait for a commercial break to be like, "This is really good. Thanks for making this." You know?
Yeah. I'll say it during a commercial break only. But do you two have any hard set vices?
Vices is a hard one, but I took this question to mean like ritual.
Yeah, sure, routine.
As well. Yeah, routine. Like there's a very we have this Meg and I have this love seat. It's like I think it was a Ektorp brand from IKEA. It's this very small like 2-seater. It's good for sitting, but we can't actually like watch TV on it unless we take the back covers off. So there's this ritual where we take like the back covers, the back cushions off, and then we can both lay sideways on this couch. We do have a bigger couch. Funny enough, we don't use that. But the one that faces the TV, we both like sort of have the same way that we lay, and we'll do that while consuming media. And then if we're good, we'll put the cushions back at the end of the night. So it's like our TV time is separate from everything else.
That's sweet. That's sweet.
Actually cute. That's a bonding thing.
Yeah, it is. It feels good. And I can, Meg lays in front. She's Little Spoon. So I can see when she laughs. And she, as Little Spoon with me, Big Spoon, can feel when I'm crying behind her without looking. Because some TV chokes me up, I'll be honest.
Yeah, of course. This is how actually Micah and I watch TV when we're watching TV together. I'm the Little Spoon. He's the Big Spoon.
Does Pat know about this? Because
no, he doesn't. I told him he can't listen to this episode. Shh.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he'll heed your warning on that. We also definitely have a ritual in terms of like how we sit on the couch and sort of what we're watching when we eat. So I must always be on the left side of the couch. Mark must always be on the right side of the couch. And in the middle goes our dog Canella, because she will turn the sass level up to 11 if she's not permitted to be in the middle. So that's usually where she is if she's not sassing us and sulking in a corner, staring at us. She's got a lot of personality, this one. But we will actually often also eat in front of the TV because we live in an 800 square foot apartment. So there's not really a dining room here. And we'll eat in front of the TV, but we won't watch anything while we're eating that we really want to focus on super hard because one, we're eating, but two, we're like usually stopping and talking to each other.
Interesting.
Throughout the meal.
What is this now for listeners who might be wondering, what is this stopping and talking while eating? What is this?
And focusing.
Wow.
So we'll save we'll save the stuff that we really need to pay attention to, usually for after we're done eating, or if we're eating something that's like a sandwich or something that you don't really have to focus on too much.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, that's our approach. It's usually just like a YouTube video that we'll put on to watch while we eat.
We didn't even talk about YouTube. My to watch list or watch later list, my God, there's so many good things on there, whether they're fan made like videos on stuff, topics that I've always been interested in, or like old documentaries that people port to the internet now. Like the other day, Meg watched one on why the year 569 was the worst year in human history, and it's an hour long. And I'm like, can you summarize that for me? And she
Yeah.
did. But yeah, it's like, it's an infinite number of things to watch.
Yeah. Sometimes you just have to say no. And actually, speaking of saying no, we're going to talk about the social angle here and how it interferes with our social lives and how to say no to our friends. But first, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. So I want to talk about pop culture interfering with our social lives because I have, again, I mentioned therapy. I have a traumatic story here. So it was my 21st birthday, and we had plans to go to Vegas with friends to ring in the big legal drinking age. And unfortunately, the Lost series finale was airing the same week/weekend. And some of my friends said no to going to Vegas because they had plans to watch the Lost series finale in Los Angeles. And in fairness to them, I think a couple crew members were going to be there. Maybe the creators were going to be there, or some cast members. I don't know. But I was hurt. I was hurt you would prioritize a television show over my 21st birthday. And it's not like it's the 22nd birthday, the 34th birthday. No, 21, baby. And this is Vegas. I will never forgive them for that. So I'm wondering if you two would ever skip out on an important birthday or, let's say, wedding. Well, maybe wedding's too extreme. Would you skip out on an important date to prioritize seeing, to experience like a fandom event?
I like the question, Andrew, but we have to settle something right here and now because I remember celebrating your 21st birthday with you, but I also remember attending the Lost finale. I met Eric Lange, cool actor. Did I piss you off? Did I hurt your feelings?
No, you brought this up before too. It wasn't you who missed. It was Tasha and two or three other people.
Let's name them. Yeah. No, we
put
did
them on
because
blast.
I think
it may have been a separate thing. I think it was a separate thing.
I think you had either accommodated or we did some kind of celebration in Vegas first or something like that for that weekend, and then went to LA. But okay, happy to settle that. No, it would have to be really, really important for me to miss it. Just because media these days too is so accessible, you can watch it later. Like if my sister's getting married, I'm not going to be watching TV. Like I'm going to be there.
I thought you were going to say I'm not going. I've got to watch the finale of Lost.
I've learned that no matter how big the event is, it's just television, and what really matters is the human connections that we make with one another. And I'm on a kick where I prioritize that crap.
Well, that's fine. Yeah, so I'll give you Tasha's number, and you can tell her how she wronged me.
Okay.
Yes. 14 years later, Andrew is still traumatized. So I'll definitely agree with Eric here. For major events like birthdays, weddings, it would have to be something really extreme, like once in a lifetime experience, opportunity, like tied to this fandom thing that I would be able to easily explain to the person why I was missing. And I'm having a really hard time even thinking of what it could be.
Taylor Swift tickets, maybe?
Oh, a concert's a good one because that's a live, once in a lifetime.
Hey, I paid $1,200 for the Taylor Swift tickets before you scheduled your wedding.
Well, yeah.
So
that's the thing. There's definitely social etiquette, right? Like if I already have plans to do something, even if it's not as big as Taylor Swift, and then somebody invites me to a wedding, in my mind, I'm like, well, I have a conflict there, right? Unless I'm super, super close to the person, in which case they take priority. It's like a constant bracket system, I think.
It's a math equation.
Yeah. But, in general, if we're talking about canceling plans with friends, I don't think I would ever have to cancel just general plans with friends, because if I know that something is coming out on a day when my friends want to do something, I will just straight up tell them no because I'm occupied. A great example of this was when Last of Us 2, the game, came out. I was MIA for 48 hours while me and Mark played that. I had so many unanswered texts during that time. I kid you not. I was completely disconnected. I didn't give a damn what people were trying to talk to me about. So I'll be honest with people. If something that I'm really hype about comes out and I know that I'm going to bury myself in it, I'll straight up let people know.
So you warned people in advance about the last, or were you getting texts like, "Are you alive?" from your parents and stuff?
This is an interesting revelation. So Eric will prioritize friends, but Laura is like shutting off her phone, not talking to anybody for multiple days because she's so engrossed in a video game.
I feel like it's a little bit both. Video games are a good example, though, of when you really do need at least 13 hours lead time to get in, to sink in, to feel the vibe.
Okay. But your controller has a pause button, and you can hit that, and the game will pause, and then you can reply to your friends.
So here's the thing. I'm not like this with every video game. I'm not like this with most video games. But The Last of Us is one of those stories that just hits. And once you're in it, you gotta know what happens next. There's no stopping it. I mean, we stayed up all night. Like, we literally reached a point where we looked like out, like towards the window that had a shade over it, and we could see the light coming in around the edges of the curtain.
Wow.
So when I'm that into something, I will totally disconnect. And I mean, most of my friends and the people who would be reaching out to me knew that it was my Last of Us obsessathon.
It was your book 7 event again.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Wow.
And I mean, my parents knew what was up because we were living with them at the time. It was during COVID. Our house flooded and we had to move out while it got gutted and renovated. So that was a time.
Yeah.
So if we were in a situation like, I'm shit. Guess what, Mark? We have to miss this wedding because Last of Us 2 is coming out. I gotta dive into this story. We have to miss the wedding. I think I'm just going to lie and say I'm sick. Would you lie to get out of a wedding for a video game or a
no,
no,
not a wedding.
How about a 21st birthday?
I'm struggling to think about if I'm close enough with anyone who's turning 21 to even have to make that decision.
Hypothetical. Let's say 50.
Here's how to.
I mean, I don't think so.
Sort of a way of managing this question that, while not directly answering it, is here's how to prevent that. Invite your friends along. I can't tell you how many cool social events, like the really big social events that I would blow off plans for. Instead, I have a buddy I'm going with to these things. And those are the kind of people who would be like, oh, why aren't you hanging out with these? Literally, we're going out together and doing this thing. So there's almost safety in numbers about this too. So if you do like have a watch partner or somebody else that you obsess over a video game with, like, then you can both be antisocial to your immediate circles. And then it feels like you're also hanging out with a friend, which feels like you can justify it as another commitment.
Yeah. And I guess you can also say, hey, friends, look, I'm happy to be here for your wedding. But just so you know, maybe, sorry, I keep going back to the wedding example, but
and I'm out.
Exactly. Right. I need to go back to the hotel and watch the Breaking Bad series finale. Like, Breaking Bad is my favorite show of all time. And the series finale, like, if that was airing around some like big trip that I had planned, I would probably clear out some time to make sure I am watching that live.
Yeah, of course.
To avoid spoilers and stuff. So, yeah, I don't know.
Fun fact, I saw the Breaking Bad finale with the same people I saw the Lost finale with, actually. Andrew
okay.
Yeah, but you're right. I mean, these cultural events, though, you wouldn't be alone in setting aside time. In fact, that's what the networks want you to do. That's what the streamers want you to do. They want to go viral. They want everybody talking about it. They want the moon landing. They want everybody glued to their TV watching this one thing universally at the same exact time.
You might be able to argue that streamers don't want that for some stupid reason. They should. Like, they should say, hey, tune in to Netflix Live, Let's say they have a live channel, and at 9 p.m., everybody can tune in live. I wish they would do something like that.
And then
because
it crashes.
I want moon landing. Yeah, right. That's what they're afraid of, I guess.
That's the problem now, is the bandwidth issues with the servers and stuff. But yeah.
Well, yeah. I don't know if y'all ever followed Love is Blind on Netflix, but there was a huge kerfuffle last year because they were trying to have the reunion episode of that year's season broadcast live, and they totally couldn't handle it. Like, nobody got to see it live except for the people who physically went to sit in the studio audience.
I did hear about this. That's crazy.
It was embarrassing for them.
They've been trying to do more live events, so hopefully they'll figure that out, and maybe that's when they'll do, like, they'll air Stranger Things, the series finale, live. Turning back to managing pop culture in our day-to-day lives, setting aside special events, how do we tell our friends and family no when they tell us we need to consume X, Y, or Z? Because this is something we run into all the time, right? Somebody says, "Oh, have you checked out Love is Blind?" "No, I haven't watched it yet." "Oh my God, you gotta watch Love is Blind. You gotta watch
you don't.
it. You got
You don't gotta watch that one.
Okay, well, let's pretend it's like The Boys, another show we're doing a show on here on What the Hype. Like, I feel guilt. I will tell people, "Okay, yeah, I'm gonna check it out." Ha ha ha. But in my mind, I'm like, I got so much shit to watch. I'm not watching that. Like, forget about it.
I mentioned this earlier, but it is really like a cultural litmus or cultural touchstone. A lot of these shows that are really, really big, everyone wants to talk to you about it. They don't want to guilt you over it, I don't think, but they do want to have that connection. That is how we relate to each other, by the shows that we're watching, et cetera, et cetera. So what I've taken to, and you're right though, Andrew, inevitably you get like the 5th recommendation in a week, and they're all like multi-season TV shows, and you're like, there's no way I'm going to watch any of this.
Yeah.
Like, I find it really important. I have like a sort of a tier system. All I tell people, because everyone knows that the media landscape is oversaturated. Everybody knows that everybody's short list is longer than whatever the regular list would be. I have a tier system where it's like, and all I say is I'll add it to my list. But essentially, when I'm getting told about a new TV show and a new TV show is being recommended to me, I'll ask, what is it that you like about this, show?
Sell me
in
on
particular.
it.
That's smart.
So then, not only am I getting, and it's a simple follow-up question, it works on everybody. And if they've been paying attention to the show they're recommending, they can talk about it. And I will learn both from my knowledge of these people that are interacting in these shows and from what they say about it, whether it is in fact something, one, I will like, two, whether it's something like different than what I'm already watching, two, like I don't need every social satire under the sun to be in my watch list. I could pick and choose different genres and things like that. So yeah, I find that doing a little bit of legwork like helps me kind of prioritize when inserting a new show to watch into my ever increasing, insanely long short list.
That sounds like a pretty good system. I need to steal that from you, because my system, I don't have one, is just to say, "Oh, I'll add it to the list." And then, it doesn't always, I mean, I say that in good faith, because usually when people are recommending things to me, they're recommending something usually on the basis of knowing me to an extent that they feel like I would really enjoy this. And I'm touched by that when people are thinking of me that way.
True.
So I never want it to come across like, I'm not going to watch that garbage you recommended of me. It's just, I say that, and then I'm very, very bad at finding the time to do it and sticking to some kind of ranking system and order. But then sometimes I come back to things that have been recommended to me in the past. I finally get around to them and I'll be like, "Oh man, this is really good. I wish I had started it sooner."
Yeah. For me, there's sort of like this threshold where if I hear enough people raving about something, that's when I'm like, okay, I can't miss out on this. Like that recent docu-series, what was the one about the Nick? Quiet on the Set. Quiet on Set, yeah. There were so many people talking about that. I couldn't miss out on that. The Boys hit that threshold for me. trying to think of other recent things, but you just see a lot of people talking about certain shows, and there just comes a point where I don't want to have FOMO because I really feel like I'm missing out. If it's just one person recommending something, I guess it depends on the person, but it also depends on how big of a commitment is this? Is it 5 seasons? Is it just a docuseries? Is it just one episode? I'll watch one episode of anything if a good friend is raving about it. Or I guess, and on the other hand, that's not the case if it's like a movie, because I prefer television because it's like, 45 minutes and I'm done compared to
you're
like
used to the
2.5
storytelling
hours.
aspect. But that is how certain series sneak into the list, higher priorities if they're shorter. Isn't Ted Lasso only like a 23-minute episode? Or that might be longer. The Good Place,
a little longer, yeah.
The Good Place definitely snuck in to like, I've seen it now all because those were shorter episodes.
Yeah.
And so it's
like
easier to like
Laura with Veep. Those are probably half-hour comedies.
Yeah,
on HBO.
they're very short.
Yeah, so that makes it easier too. And when it's a comedy, I feel like you can burn through the time passes quicker when it's a comedy.
Yeah, and also, I mean, not to say that I'm not paying attention to it when I watch it, but that's not the kind of show that you have to watch as intensely as you would another show, like maybe Succession.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on when you decide I have to read, watch, or listen to something?
It really does. It really is when the hype just runneth over. I think
the hype runneth over. That should have been the name of this podcast.
I know. But it is, yeah. Or if there's a very upcoming like social moment, like a moon landing kind of thing, or in the most recent thing that somebody had recommended or I started finding out about and then immediately moved to see was The People's Joker. Is this movie came out?
I've heard about this.
DC universe. It's Joker, and it's written, directed, and starring a trans woman. And she was doing a Q&A, Vera Drew, her name is, at like the Music Box Theater in Chicago, like the week that I found out about the film. It's this indie thing that got, that she's having to promote herself on tour. But so I like ran out the door and like, again, met up with a friend though. So I'm being social while I'm doing this. But that was something where I had to drop what I was doing. I rescheduled a few things that week because it's, a movie, God, that I have to see. But it really ticked a few of those boxes. And it really has to be something that I like. Maybe it just, with a healthy understanding of like getting out more is good. Healthy understanding of like exercising, doing other things than just sitting on the couch while watching it is good. It has to hit a number of those things, but then also be important. And I'm like, okay, I should go do this.
Yeah.
But like the latest Marvel movies, I'm not justifying them. I'm like 5 behind.
Yeah.
And it's not that they're not good. Well, there's a whole other discussion to have that I'm sure we'll have one day about
a good
the
one-off
quality.
episode, the state of Marvel.
Yeah, I mean the last couple years of Marvel has been kind of rough, but I'm feeling optimistic about Deadpool and Wolverine. So we can definitely chat about that. I think that might be what saves that franchise. But I'm someone who can be really susceptible to like really sharp marketing campaigns. So I think about the Barbie movie as a recent example of something that just had an amazing marketing campaign. And I was already going to go see that movie anyway because I loved the concept. But I think the way that their marketing kind of centered the focus on you, the viewer, and you being able to create your own Barbie posters featuring you, and the level of meta commentary that existed, I mean, obviously throughout the movie, but also came through in the marketing that really appealed to me. But when it comes to recommendations from people that will get me to seriously check something out, is if I have multiple people who fall kind of in two camps. One camp is the camp that has very similar taste to me, and I tend to like what they like. The other camp are people who don't really have similar taste to me, and we don't tend to like the same things. If people from both of those camps are telling me you got to watch this, that tells me that it's going to knock it out of the park.
It's the magic potion. It's the concoction that the ingredients add up. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Well, I think it's time to start wrapping this up, but I guess my closing point here is let go. It is okay to not watch everything. It's okay to lie to your friends and say, yeah, I'll watch that. It's just like when you say, oh, yeah, we got to hang out again sometime, and then you never do. Just let go. Set up those false promises and just let it drift away. There's just
Free
too
yourself.
much. We're never going to be able to read everything, listen to everything, watch everything. There's not enough hours in the day to do all this. Unless we got that summer vacation that Eric talked about at the top of the show.
Back before
Man.
TV on DVD was a thing, you know, and we had endless 3 months straight of just running around outside. What I would give to have that back.
And maybe, like I said, once this, peak TV, it ebbs and flows. Maybe when things start to slow down, that'll be an opportunity for us to catch up on things that have been on our to watch, to read, etc. list forever.
Well, and that's why I wish that more of those watch live things had really taken off. Like, I wish Netflix Live was worth anything because you really could go through old series with friends live at the same time, and you could have a watch party for all of these amazing TV shows, and then it would be ticking more of those boxes. It would be social with friends. If anybody's hassling you for not watching a show, let's watch it together. And
let's all go to the gym, do the watch party, and set the same speed on the treadmill too. Planet Fitnesses, they got a lot of treadmills. You could have a big party there.
$10 a month.
Yeah. I see somebody at the gym. She's always in front of me. I'm on the stair stepper. She's on the elliptical in front of me. She's always watching Great British Bake Off. That's how she keeps up with the GBBO.
Amazing.
I'm like, good for you.
It's amazing.
Oh, her endorphins must be insane.
Eric, you're about to become a pop culture fitness influencer, I think.
Yeah.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Kill two birds with one stone. You'll get to catch up on your TV and you get to get fit while doing it.
Best TV series. I will say the action parts of The Mandalorian, I would turn up the speed on the treadmill. I felt very good about it.
Nice.
I get that.
Well, thanks everybody for listening. Does a friend or family member need help juggling all the pop culture that's been thrown their way? Do they need some validation? Do they need to be told that it's okay if you can't keep up? Share this episode with them. We would appreciate that. And you can also let your friends know that What the Hype walks through every aspect of pop culture every week. And we are a new show, like I said at the top of this show, so we do need your support. First of all, follow us in your podcast app, and we'd also appreciate a review. And this is going to help make the show a success. This is just really important in the early days. And then please connect with us. We're on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram as What the Hype Podcast. And on X, we're What the Hype Show. And then our website is whatthehypepodcast.com. And if you want to email us, the email address is whatthehypepodcast@gmail.com. So that is the hype for this week. Bye, everybody. Thank you, Eric and Laura, for making time.
Thanks. The hype
always
runneth
for
over.
you, Andy.